A recent CBS News poll finds 40% of Americans plan to make New Year's resolutions. Retired Navy SEAL David Goggins says he knows how to make those changes stick. Goggins is described as one of the toughest men on the planet. He's the only man in history to complete elite training as a Navy SEAL, Army Ranger, and Air Force Tactical Air Controller. Goggins has published a memoir and self-help book called Can't Hurt Me.
The book is outstanding.
Master Your Mind and Defy the Odds. Shares his journey from living in poverty to surviving SEAL training and how you can reach your full potential.
So this week's Do More Be More is on the toughest man alive, Mr. David Goggins. He went from being unhappy, obese, to earning only $1,000 a month working in pest control, to completely turning his entire life around and becoming the biggest and baddest Navy SEAL. He was able to make such a crazy transformation due to self-discipline, holding himself accountable on a daily basis, and an absolute sheer hard work. He's run over 60 ultramarathons, one of which was 205 miles long. He didn't stop and managed to do it in 39 hours.
How many ultramarathons did you run in a row? You ran some insane
I think
number.
it was, I ran 808 weekends in a row.
Just stop and think about that, ladies and gentlemen.
He once had the chin-up world record where he done 4,030 pull-ups in 24 hours. So if you're looking to make a massive life transformation, we've whittled down his 3 ways to be more. There's a lot to be learned. Enjoy it.
And you know, it's more than just sitting across from you and you telling your story is one thing, but this long, detailed history of how you became to be the person you became, I think it's very educational for people because they can realize, like, oh, he wasn't always this guy. This is what's fucked up about people. Like, you see a guy who's like you, who runs, you think about a person like that, you think of them as in this like static, fully formed version. You don't usually get to see, and especially someone like you, who you went into so much depth about your rise and fall and rise and fall. It wasn't like a straight linear process between you getting inspired and then you becoming this bad motherfucker.
No, it wasn't like, what's that show called, that Will Smith plays, that black guy who kind of makes it in the financial world. Pursuit of Happiness.
I never saw that.
Yeah, it's a great movie. It wasn't like Pursuit of Happiness, man. Like where the guy struggles and he gets over it and he makes it.
Yeah.
I fell on my ass. I thought I got to the top of Mount Everest, and Mount Everest just fucking slide right underneath me, man. I was like, God, dog, I gotta start from scratch again. I messed up here, I messed up here, I messed up everywhere. And so I realized the worst thing that happened to me is I lost myself. I never had myself. I never found myself. I had no self-esteem. So I knew through working out and through learning, because it took a lot for me to learn also, I started finding self-esteem. Once I found that, that's when doors started opening up. I stopped caring about people, that what they thought, being judged. Wow, if I say this, if I started right now, are you gonna make fun of me? I stopped caring about that. And that's when my life started really changing for me, slowly but surely.
That's such an important point when you're talking about the working out, because a lot of people, when they think about working out, they think of it as being a physical thing.
Right, no. I did it for mental.
Yeah.
People always say, my God, like, no, don't look at it like, I didn't care about losing weight. I didn't care about being the fastest person. I wasn't making the Olympics. I wasn't going to pros. I could barely read and write when I was in a junior in high school. I wasn't going anywhere. I saw working out as a way for me to build calluses on my mind. I had to callus over the victim's mentality. So I watched these movies. I talked about Rocky last time I was on here. I always equated training to mental toughening. Like, it always looked brutal. People waking up early and doing all these things, and it looked horrible. I was like, wow, man, I gotta start doing that. Not to get better, bigger, and stronger, but that is what's gonna build me. That looks uncomfortable. That looks brutal. And getting up early, I don't wanna do that. So I made this long list of things that I don't wanna do. And through that, I found myself. I started, I'm like, you guys aren't doing this shit in high school. You guys aren't getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning, running over here in this golf course. So I started seeing myself very differently than the average human being. I was like, hang on a second. I have something they don't have. And that's when I started to develop these things through working out. It was this great, never-ending work ethic. And through work ethic, I developed self-esteem.
Now, is this something that you learned? Is this something you learned yourself from exercise yourself, or is this something you had read or heard about? Like, what made you equate doing this and doing these difficult things physically to mental toughness, to being, this is the discipline that you need in order to get your life out of the situation you're in?
So I never read anything. I could barely read, so
Right.
I wasn't reading back then. I watched a lot of movies, and I was really big into visualization. And I always equated working out to struggle. And I struggled my whole life, but I ran from it. So I started realizing, man, I gotta start facing the struggle, and I gotta be mentally strong for the struggle. So that's why I started coming up with I'm training for life. Mentally, I'm training for life. I'm not training for to lift 400 pounds. And I found out on my own pretty much, is that through discipline, through self-discipline, through repetition, through tons of repetition of the same thing that you don't want to do, and that's the key thing. Through repetition of things you don't want to do, you develop mental, like an armor for your mind. You start to armor your mind, because your mind's like, okay, we suffer every day. It's what we do. We do stuff that sucks every day. So then when the suck stuff comes, you're ready for it. And that's how I started coming up. I just started being very uncomfortable. And now it's like just a way of life. I believe in winning the battle against yourself. People say, why do you say that? Because there's a lot of things you can control. When you wake up, I talk about making your bed. Make your bed, make sure your house is clean, make sure you get your breakfast, make sure you shower, shave, whatever you're doing, control that. Don't hit the snooze button. All these things are very important. That's been told a lot of times. Why don't you hit the snooze button? Because you wake up already failing. You're already behind the power curve. So what happens when you hit the snooze button? You may not make your bed. You may not do your hair the way you want it. You may not pick the right clothes out in the morning time. And I go back to this real quick. Remember how you had a job interview for a job? We've had several of them in our lives. What did you do the night before that job, weeks before the job interview, when you knew you had it? You prepared you had a bowl out for your oatmeal, your cereal, whatever you had in the morning time. Your coffee cup was out. Your clothes were laid out. You studied, you rehearsed, you were ready. You brought your best self. You were going to war with yourself because you wanted that interviewer to see your best self. You won. You got the job. After a few months in that job, you look around, I got the job. You start to back off. The clothes aren't out. You're not ready. You're hitting the snooze button. You don't get up on time anymore. You realize that you can still have this job and not be your best self. The interview you is gone. Your job is gone. You have your job, but the interview is gone. So winning the battle in the morning time is just that. It's that you wake up in the morning time and you own all this stuff, because once you leave your house, the world then gets at you. And that's why I believe in not getting up in the morning time and checking your phone immediately. Everybody does that. They get up, the first thing they do is grab their phone, look at the phone. Maybe bad news on there. So how's your day start off? I don't go to the gym. I don't make my bed. You're caught up now on that phone. That's how your day starts. You lost control. So once you win that battle in the morning time, then once you go out, now you've won. You go outside your house, you may lose your job, you may have a bad hit, but you won something. So you're going into battle having already won something. So then if you hit the snooze button, you go out, you're just defeated already. You're behind the power curve. Now you've won something, you feel better about yourself. So now you're able to take these hits along the way.
Yeah.
So that's the mindset that I think it's important to bring with you every day you go, everywhere you go in life. Win what you can.
So this 40% jumps out to me as you say only 40% of our true potential is what most of us are using. How do you get to that number?
Well, the whole thing about it is that your mind has the ultimate tactical advantage over you.
Yes.
It knows your insecurities, knows your fears, it knows your self-doubts, it knows all those creepy spots that we want to stay clear of. So our mind keeps us from those spots. So the whole 40% rule is I was living my whole life kind of going away from those spots that made me very uncomfortable. Because my mind was saying, you're not good here, you're not good there.
More than half the time.
More than half the time. So what happens is when you get in these situations where you need more, it's like a car. A car has a governor. So, some cars have governors on it.
Yeah, right.
Limits it, yeah.
It can go 130, but the governor's set for 92. So you're sitting there trying to race a Corvette. The Corvette flies by, but you're like, God, I wish this governor was off. Our brain has a governor also.
Yeah.
whenever it gets to those fears, those insecurities, those issues that we haven't dealt with in life, the governor comes on and we can't go past that.
You write that motivation is crap.
It's crap.
Yes.
Right.
What do you mean?
Motivation is kindling. So basically what it is I may motivate some people today for this 4 minutes I'm on TV.
Yep.
Oh my God, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that. Great. But let's say it's real cold out in New York City. Let's say it's 30 degrees. You go outside, you get your gloves on, you go for a 5-mile run.
You're going to forget everything you said.
Everything I said is gone. That's motivation.
So you write about how Rocky motivated you. That movie motivated you, but you had to take it that next step. So how do you do that then?
Well, the thing about it is, it's about being driven almost to the point where you're obsessed. Because when you get to that point of being driven and possibly obsessed, you no longer care if it's 30 degrees outside. That wind chill hits your face, you feel it, you might go back inside, but to get more clothes on to go outside. So you have to find that passion, that purpose of your life. It's different for everybody.
A lot of tragedy happened in your life early on, and the death of a potential stepdad. You witnessed a young child that was tragically killed in an accident. But there was something that hit me. You talk about being the only one of your kind many, many times, and that all you want to do is stay home and wallow, because to go into public is to be completely exposed, vulnerable, or a world that tracks and judges you.
Right.
It's just as simple as that?
It's as simple as that. Basically, what you have to do is just look at yourself in the mirror. We are always, a lot of us are waiting for this magical thing to happen and fix our lives. Like, for instance, a lot of things damaged my life. It wasn't just all me. You know, it's your dad, it's your mom, it's your childhood, it's being bullied. It's so many things that we all have a story. But what happens is we're always sitting in, I call it poopy pants.
Poopy pants.
Poopy pants. We're all sitting back, woe is me, kicking rocks down the street.
Yeah.
We're waiting for some magical miracle to happen to get fixed. And that's not going to happen.
And jump out of your comfort zone?
You have to do that. You have to face all these things because they're not all yours to own. No matter what happens.
So how do you make that move?
Well, how you do it first is, I call it the accountability mirror. When I was 16, 17 years old, I went to this mirror, looked at myself in the mirror, and I saw a person that I wasn't proud of. You have to call yourself out.
You wanted to be proud of yourself.
I want to be proud of myself, but you have to call yourself out in a way that's not kind. We live in a very kind, gentle world. We have to find the right words for situations. You have to call yourself out for what it is and change the problem. You have to be real with yourself, real and raw with yourself to fix the problem.
I just have to ask, you cuss a lot in this book.
I do. I do.
Why?
Because my life wasn't nice.
It was
I want to paint a real picture. I don't want to try to say, oh, let me not say this because I may offend you. Life offended me.
All right.
And I had to overcome it.
So that was this week's episode of Do More, Be More with David Goggins. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned a lot. The reason I've actually done this episode on David Goggins is because I've read his book, Can't Hurt Me, and it's probably one of the best books I've ever read. If you can, listen to the Audible version because there's like little activities you can do, and they also like talk about it in more depth in almost like a kind of like radio or podcast format. So if you are being serious about changing your life, then check out that book. Hope you enjoy the video. Have a quality day.
I have that nervous ball in my stomach before I go on the stage. That's how I know I'm doing the right job.